last week. Indexing. Today, what's today? Demos, anyone? Topics?
I think there is one PR we should review and probably soon release 2.7 or 2.8, 2.18.
Okay. Status. Status, the 3rd of June is there. So what do we have? Fixed auto setup. Showing 4 and first request from non-default domain. Return. Okay. So when we set the redirect response, we should not invoke the next middleware. Okay, that's good. Just want to see how you get to the state. You didn't catch it before. Can't really to set up now because of the setup path. Okay, auto setup path. Custom path. Okay. No, maybe not. Auto setup path. Auto setup commands. Oh, you can define multiple tenants in the setup. Okay. Okay. Quickly. I'm missing select a recipe option. We saw that recently. Improving removal of media files using Azure Media Storage. Yeah, seems familiar because we merged it on Thursday. And remove container, disable, new option, remove file from base path. So new option in the feature in the Azure Media Storage. We have to delete all files under the specified base path. And the tenant is removed. When you don't want to remove the container, you can still remove the files. Okay. Update S3 docs. Local S3 being supported again. Okay. Yeah, this is an emulator for S3, so if you want to try that, you can use Docker. Updating Docker Elastic with a new version. Updating xunit, identity packages. SSDK, about the .NET runners test, centralized indexing process. So this is after my demos from last week. Everything's broken, but there are migrations. Hopefully, not many people will be broken in the indexes. Worst case will be in the indexes. Even worst case, we create the indexes.
Yeah, I hope the migrations will just do perfectly fine and nobody has to do anything. They might have to update the recipes, but that's probably it.
I think the
I'm already
indexes
testing.
will
I'm
be lost.
testing this. You think?
Yeah.
I hope not.
Yeah, we hope. But you know how it works. People with weird stuff, weird versions.
Yeah, that's true.
So that will happen.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
yeah,
I know.
that's why I'm telling worst case that we have to redefine their indexes. The can say video. Okay. And I
have noticed few issues after this. I had few follow-up PRs after this because I'm trying to consume in my own project and creating custom indexes.
People will come with their own issues and then, oh,
Yeah.
I also have this. You have good coverage, but you probably don't have 100% coverage of all the issues that can happen. That's how we play. So I was thinking about the comments I made on your PR about. Did I comment on your PR? Sometimes the PR, I believe. I'm confused now. It's fine. So what you were able to do for those people that follow, you were able to create another kind of indexing source, for instance, users. So there we can only, well, before your PR, we could only index content items. And now with your PR, we can also define custom sources like users. So someone would say, I don't want to index just content items. I want to index users. I want to index files. I want to index whatever blogs on my storage, or whatever you want. You can define sources. You can define sources by code, right? And so here you show me a code to register user source. by name. And you say, okay, add Elasticsearch index source, name users, fine, display name description. And you do that because you have a UI when you create an index to select a thing that will be users in Elasticsearch. And what I said is it's not decoupled, or you have to create a coupling to be able to create an index for something. Which means, so what I would have liked to see is somewhere in a module you say add indexing source and you call it users, fine, and you give it a display name to this user. And somewhere else in another module you say I'm an index provider, I'm Elasticsearch. And then a user on the UI, not in code, will say, I want to put some users in my Elasticsearch, and I will call it my users. And by having to do that, you can't, because you have to write some code to be able to define the coupling between a source and a destination. And then in the UI, you will say, create an index from this couple of things, this tuple. So you have to create a tuple in code before you can use this exact tuple as many times as you want.
Yeah, because you have to define the columns, how you want the columns and how you want the data to float as well. So how
it's like to create an analogy, because you can tell me what you just tell me, but the analogy is like, imagine you have a part named customer, and you have a field named description, or you have a field named text field. It's like if you wanted to use a text field, you will have to go in the code and say, create a coupling, aka a tuple, between the customer type and the text field, and call it, I'm a text field for a customer. And then in the UI, you will then be able to select, oh, I can add a text field to a customer because someone wrote it. And now if you want to add a text field to an agency, you go in the code and you say, create a coupling between a text field and an agency so that in the UI, you can add it. And this is what I'm seeing here. That's why in the UI, when you write this code, then magically there is a new box appearing when you create an index that lets you add users in Elasticsearch. But if you don't have this code, you can't add users in Elasticsearch. And that's why I'm saying you should be able to say, there are users. You should be able to say, I can put stuff in Elasticsearch. And in the UI, when you create an index, you say, what stuff can I take? Users or content item. You select which one you want, users. And then you're like, in what destination do you want to put it? Elasticsearch, Lucene, AI search, and then you select Elasticsearch. And then the UI creates the coupling. So users won't have to create features and modules before being able to use users and Elasticsearch. That's why I'm saying it's still the same way in the content item, we say, give me the property or the field display name or title or whatever for this content item so I can index it. I think that's the same thing.
It is the same thing. It's just it's done differently. But yeah,
that's why indexing source should be an abstract concept. Like can return fields, can list fields, the same thing as content item. The things that you display in the driver actually. Okay, so but we'll get there. Sure. But yeah, I think people should see the advantage of being able to select other sources now, like yes, create an index of users if you want to provide an API that lists users, for instance. So I don't know, search users by properties that they have. Or files, like you want to index all your files because, again, you want to provide search on videos or this folder, or the content of PDFs files.
Yeah, for me, for example, I have a need to store phone call records, transcripts.
Okay.
Store them in Elastic, and I pull those data and then I store them in Elastic or any other service. Yeah.
And then we could imagine creating generic index sources from other queries. Like you could say, I want to index a SQL query. So you would say create a new source, and a property of the driver of the source would be a SQL query, such that every time it reindexes, it creates a SQL query, and then it updates the records, or it adds more things to the index based on a table or web request. Like you could index anything, like, well, anything. Okay, cool. So let's see what people do with the picture. I hope we should test it. Yeah. Well, we know when we merge, when we reach 3.0, people will start complaining and sharing their bugs. That's how we work. We should probably make a preview one, just 3.0 preview. Just see it. We'll talk about it. Maybe 3.0 is a preview and then 3.0.1 without the bugs. Cool. Thank you, Mike. Then fix Postgres test. Indexing. What kind of bug did you see with that?
That's a comment right there. The IDs has to be an implementation of iList. Otherwise, it won't be compatible with the nlist operator. So that's why I had to materialize it there.
So why did it happen after?
On line 106, that's nothing. No change. That's not even necessary. Yeah. But just because it's private and we already passed the list is better than converting it to enumerable. There's no need. But
because it's private,
the parameter, yeah. And then down there, that's where the issue is that with Postgres, if you pass enumerable over integers, it will fail. So it needs to be implementation of iList. So I had to materialize it by adding the dot to array to fix that issue.
But why didn't it fail before? That's what's surprising me.
Well, because this was changed. In the past, it was to array, but I changed it because I'm like, there's no need for that.
Okay.
And then after the database testing failed, I'm like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
But there was no comment in the past, so I added a comment to make sure nobody do the same thing I just did.
Okay. If the audit tray, I mean, header has that issue. Okay, styling. RouteEndpoint dash. This one. So someone filed an issue saying there was a memory leak in 2.1.7, and there is a memory leak in 2.1.7, and probably in every single version for sure. Because it's good core. It's called the default link generator. This one. Default link generator, which we use when we do URL link generator, whatever. When we generate links for a route, when we generate links, we use this class. And what this thing does is it has a cache of which is a concurrent dictionary. So this thing is just to say, when the source of the endpoints change, let's reset the cache. Okay, but in the end, it's a concurrent dictionary indexed by route endpoint, and which means that it will, this cache here, how is it used? And to initialize get or add. Okay, it asks for an endpoint. If the endpoint exists, it returns the dumpling header. If it doesn't exist, then it will create a new one with the add, which will be, the add is this function. This function is the add, so it will invoke that if there is no endpoint like this. And if I search, if I continue searching for cache, dispose when the service is disposed, but it's a singleton, and that's it. So never is an endpoint removed from the cache. So it can only go. And the concurrent dictionary itself here is released if the source of the cache, the data source, which is an endpoint data source, has its own token that says, I have changed. So what it means is that it expects the sources of these route endpoints to be able to say when they are updated such that it can release the cache here. But we don't do that because we create new route endpoints every time. We don't cache them, or we don't need to cache them. Well, the way we work, because we have dynamic routes in the tree, we create pages dynamically, so we don't have a single source of things. That's not how it works. So the issue we had is that we were generating new route endpoints instances every time, and this cache will just add the new route endpoints every time to the collection. And it will create a memory, meaning it will just keep adding route endpoints and template binder every time you generate a URL. So every time you display a page, then the memory grows until there is not enough memory anymore and the application crashes. So to fix that, we could change the data source that we use to reset itself, but I'm not sure we can do that. I have to check if I'm not sure we generate that. No, we don't have access to that thing. I think we don't do that. We just take whatever is in MDC. But when we invoke something like, or maybe do we not invoke that directly? We don't invoke that directly, but we do pass maybe we invoke these ones. Okay, yes, we invoke these ones with custom endpoints, and then it will invoke the inner one with the endpoint. Okay, that's how it works. So what is this PR doing here? This PR is saying that before we were all the green, then before we were saying, let's create a new route endpoint and let's return the endpoint, okay, to be looked for in everything that implement I address key, I share route values address key. So we have 3 providers. So the idea now is that instead of creating a new one, we will have a local cache of route endpoint references, and actually even build arrays of them because this is what we'll return. And we'll index them by the route pattern and the route values. So we won't create new endpoints every time we want to generate a link. We just reuse the same instances every time. And this cache will only grow if you have new routes, new pages, and that is fine. We won't double the size, we just create one route endpoint for each new page you have, which is totally fine. And then these other components from ASP.NET Core won't grow indefinitely. It will just, its cache will just work with at the same rate as our cache will grow. So that's it. Just caching do things. And using so what's important also is using a custom key to index the thing that will match based on the properties of the route. Because one of the issues also is that this thing is indexed on the route endpoint because it expects the same instance to be returned. It's not optimized in terms of hashing, and it won't work if we pass the same kind of route endpoint but a different instance. It will say it's a new entry. If there was a custom equatable or implementation on this class, then it could say, oh, it's a different endpoint, but it's actually the same thing, so I don't need to create a new entry. But here it's just indexing, checking by reference. So that's also why the issue happens. If it wasn't the case, then we could have returned new instances with the same properties and it would have worked in the cache. But that's not the case. So now this is fixed, and it has been confirmed to work by the user who filed the issue. Then this one, another breaking change, or fix of the breaking change.
No, this one actually reduces the breaking changes. I've noticed some changes after I was migrating. I'm like, okay, those are unnecessary. And I reverted them because there's no point of breaking people if we don't need to. But this was an issue right here in the past. The template in the blog theme was broken even before this PR, so I fixed it.
Binary breaking change. Same thing, change.
Yeah, this one was done in the previous PR and I didn't even need it anymore. And it was left there, and that causes a binary breaking change. So I removed it. Although we could benefit from a method with the JSON serializer override, but we could work around it, but I thought we just don't need it because nobody ever asked for it. So I just removed them. Those were all added in the indexing PR.
Okay. The ref. How to fix in the ref? Checking for it. Code. Checking for it. And same code. Okay, so that was easy. Fixing the build on the net 10. With the previous 6, there were some new warnings of this code, which doesn't apply actually. That's weird. So I disabled the warning. It just says that this thing here, because it's using the indexer on a string, it will create a new string. So it says instead of doing that, use a span. So it doesn't create a new string, just return a span of the range you want. But this thing doesn't take the span. It takes an object, and this object can't be a span. It has to be a string in the end. So this doesn't apply there. So I disabled it. And this one is because there was another file. Probably there is a conflict in the with a new SDK with the current version that says no, you can't use refstruct, which is a 13.0 feature. I don't know why it found the refstruct, but by saying 13 now it's working. So this is a version in .NET 9 that ships with .NET 9, which we require in the SDK. So that's fine to use that. Mike fixing migrations. Did it work?
No. I just confirmed that it didn't work. So now I think I just need to split it on multiple steps. But I don't know why it wouldn't work. It should work because I think every alter commits the records. It applies it directly. So I have no idea.
Okay. We have
What do you think here? Should I really split it on steps into different steps?
If this doesn't work, you can try to split it. If it doesn't work still, then we need for another option, but that's the easy option. And I wonder if we have already some remains columns in other migrations. I am not sure. So try that. Try to put it in a different step to test if that's the issue. And also to isolate, because then you can say, no, there is the only issue is with rename column. It doesn't work. It's not schema build, it's not whatever step or transaction or whatever. This is just it doesn't work. Maybe there is no test in the SQL for that. You'll be surprised, but maybe there isn't. Maybe SQLite doesn't support that still. I don't know. We could not add columns before either, or something. That was something. Yeah, it should work. SQLite did not support before 3. You see? That's what I'm saying. I see the spam. You can feel it inside. So this did not support before 3.25. So I don't know what version we have.
We use 5.2 or 5.3. We use
No. What kind of version? SQLite.
Oh, for SQLite. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Have to look at the wrapper, this one, or this one of these will tell us. Yeah, we have above 325 definitely. But we use one of these versions. See, 2023, it was already 345. So yeah, we have older version of SQLite, meaning this package embeds the native SQLite library. Okay, and the SQLite client is an AWS provider over this wrapper. So we use definitely above 325. So it is supported. Now let's get it working. And then column base command, rename base command, SQLite. Command interpreter. I don't know why it was implemented.
I've seen it. There's a run method. It actually does the alter. I've seen it earlier because I was looking at it. I forgot where though.
Test. Oh, test.
It's probably in the schema builder.
Oh yeah, that's different than comments. You're right. SQLite test. Rename column. Should rename column. Blah 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 blah. So that's on the base core test. Now, does this implementation? No, it has it, so it should work. This is running this test also for SQLite. Get connection, transaction schema builder, drop table. Okay, schema builder, create table with column 1. What is column 1? Column 1, okay. And then it says create in column 1. Okay, now read from column 1, values, use schema builder, alter table, rename column 1 to column 2, commit. And maybe that's why you need black instead. And then read column 2. Yeah, I mean, we have a test. That should work. We'll see. Try to create another step. Let's see. That. Fixed migrations. You said PRs. Oh, first we said maybe ship a thing. Yeah, so the memory leak I mentioned was backported to 1 branch 2.0 release.
Yeah.
So what do we have there?
There's few things that we could use, which was already backported, but there's another good PR, or there's another PR that fixed a good problem that we should look at and probably backport. George submitted this morning.
For this one, let's see. So reset cache content elements when claiming a content item. What else? Fixes a sort order in GraphQL query. Reload site settings and tenant activation. Again, to prevent some rails and locks. Streaming moving bird. Okay, so we have that. And your request, George. I think I looked at the code and my eyes hurt. So I closed the
mine
account.
too. Maybe we should talk about this on Thursday.
Probably. Ref count. So this is the same thing. I'm happy. It's just we removed a line. Is disposed. Okay. Topic. Address now.
Yeah, I moved it into the shell context to avoid having to expose the field. But the problem is that the shell scopes are decrementing the ref count too early before calling the callbacks and before dispose. And this introduces a race condition.
You remove the ones that you added.
Yeah, it's not needed anymore. It's simpler.
And there is a test. What? And it was failing. And is it failing without?
That's a failing test, yeah.
That now works.
Correct.
And I don't care. I don't look at the code then. There is a test. It was failing. It's working.
Yeah, it
doesn't break it.
I'm not sure if it doesn't break anything else.
Now, you know what might be good? To approve this PR and let all the databases migration run on it and see if it breaks anything else.
You approved already.
I think,
That's a good idea.
We could run it without approval.
You just commented it. Okay, well, let's support it.
Yeah.
But what it makes me think about right now is when we started Orchard Core, obviously we didn't want to reproduce the same mistake as Orchard 1 because there were mistakes made. One of them was like, I don't want to have the notion of work context, which is a thing in Orchard 1, because it was so painful. And this shell scope is almost, shell context is almost the same thing. It's becoming the same monster.
Even more the shell scope, which is an async local, and yeah, it's carried around.
Yep. And then the document manager, which is a new thing manager. And okay. Cool. Let's see what they say, and then you can Thursday probably it will be merged before it passes. Then
So we should take more time for this, I think.
But before porting it back, no, we can merge it in main and see what's happening, and then if we feel confident that it's working on the sites we test, then sure. Porting back, I'm not sure because it's not a big deal, right? Not so many people complain about it.
No, there are several issues reported which may be related to this.
It's
but
a test.
Rarely. It's rarely.
Yeah, let's not take the risk. Let's run it on main first and see how it goes. And
Agreed.
if someone says, oh, you have an issue, then we can say, try to apply this locally if it fixes your issue. And if it fixes their issue, then maybe you can backport it.
I agree.
Good. Don't worry. They will start their website. Their indexes will fail. They won't even think about this problem anymore. Okay. That's how it will. Okay. Awesome. Anything else? Just 13 PR, so that's good. This one will be merged. Let me look at it first. It's good. Everything's good. Oh, and there is something. I know about something. But it's not public yet, so let's see. I don't know when they will announce it. But it would be good for everyone. Then for us. 817. Cool. And now we are at 12. Yeah. Oh, this one. Oh, we could merge this one. So, but it failed. Oh, I know why it failed. Let me show you why it failed.
Yeah, there's an issue in the new index.
Why did you spill? You spoiled the.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
The surprise. So one unit test is failing. Recent bug post query test should list bug post when calling query. And I believe it's a Lucene query, which is failing. So randomly. Probably to do with the index is not saved. We had that thing before. So
is it random failing?
It's a random
you
failing.
Were in again?
Yeah, I had the same issue with the last PR.
Then I bet you it's because of indexing now, we index content in the background. And
correct.
Before we used to wait and do it. So it's probably a timing issue.
It's correct. It's missing one entry.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, I bet you. But in the tests, I don't know, because I don't call it, we call it. Yeah, I don't know. Strange.
But even if it's a background, when we could notify the background type, no? I see what you mean. But before it was indexed serially on purpose, so we don't have these delays.
And and I actually in the test, I do that serial in a serial way, not background.
So maybe update the test.
That is strange.
when you have time, we can do that. But this PR, just to go back on the PR, is just that some people forked Orchard and they are running the same workflows, including the closed state PR issues, comment issue and triage and everything. So we get notifications on our repo for referenced issues or whatever on PR. So I say, no, don't run this workflow if it's not our repo or specific workflow. The CI, validate PR, community metrics, stale PR. So if they create a PR and they are stale in their thing, I don't want to know about it. So yeah, it's just determining where the workflow should run by default.
So should we just merge this PR? I just reran that failing job.
Yeah, it needs an approval. So it just explains it. Sometimes made a comment which I reverted to one of the files that didn't need to not be run without thing. What was it? I'm missing docs. Oh, that's good. Discussion. Okay, that's good. Good job, everyone. We're done. Questions, comments?
No, I think we're good.
See you on Thursday. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you. Have a nice day. See you Thursday. Bye-bye.